Hey guys, man, I swear I just saw like a cockroach in my fridge. Wait, maybe I can show you. Like, look at this. Look at that. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there in the crack. Ew. Uh. Gross. Can we like vote to ban cockroaches from existence, please? I think this law needs to be passed, like, now. Hello, fellow neets. So, quite a few people actually have been reaching out to me through email, and I think a pretty common question I've been receiving recently was, how do I stay motivated when drawing, or how do I stay motivated in general to keep going? And what I like to say to that is that it really depends on who you are, what's around you, and what kind of person you are. But also, people aren't really sure how motivation tends to work in people. I usually like to categorize motivators as generally 3 categories. One is reward, punishment, or social bonds, which I guess could be considered reward in a way. People generally know reward and punishment, but nobody really thinks of social bonds as a general motivator because it's a little bit more nuanced, and a lot of people are motivated by different things in their social life. Like, for example, trying to find a girlfriend or a wife, trying to take care of your family. Those things are very important to people, and it motivates people to keep going. And I think if you really want to become really motivated when it comes to being consistent in art, you need to take advantage of your social bonds. You need to find other people who also like what you do and just start doing it with them. And if you have, positive interactions and they're very positive people, then that's gonna motivate you so much to keep going. Because it's not just the reward from like creating artwork or not, because sometimes you don't create good artwork, right? So you can't always rely on reward to be a positive motivator. So one thing that sticks with you through the good and bad is good social bonds. And I think that's definitely something as us neets undervalue, because we're generally inside people, don't want to go outside too much, and are just socially inept overall. And I think regardless of your social ineptness, you should at least try in at least some controlled sense to find social interactions, because in the long run it does pay off and it does help you. So today what we're going to be drawing is this money tree. As all motivations go, the money tree represents the motivation for good wealth, good career. I think more importantly, what I guess money represents is resources to provide or to be successful or to help your own situation, which for a lot of people is definitely a motivator. For some other people, it may not be the biggest motivator, but it's still important regardless because it affects your personal life. It is still a very important part of the equation of motivation. It just may not be the whole picture. So today, I'm going to be using the pocket note from Mujirushi. And for my pen I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using the Kuretake Fure Gokochi. So I'm going to start writing the date here. It is November 25th, 2023. So 2023, November 25th. So the nice thing that I really like about this pen is that it gives you controlled amounts of line variation. I think one of the issues with using just a brush pen is that you have very varying differences in line width, and it's very difficult to control, especially if you're like, say, in a train or in an unstable area. Whereas for this, it's more like a marker. It's a flexible marker. So it sort of gives you a lot more control over your line width. And also, it's like, it makes it mighty convenient to just have line width like this, because there isn't a lot of pens out there that give you such nice controlled line width on the go. Because inherently when you're on the go, it's hard to get a stable like line going. Even I struggle sometimes, even with this pen, to get a stable straight line. But with some practice, it's definitely consistently doable, at least, in my opinion. So I'm kind of drawing the ridges here of this vase. I got this vase from like a plant store. It seemed pretty cool looking. I like the sort of texture it has. I like things with like funky textures that sort of play with it. There's like some other ones that are kind of tacky. I don't really like the tacky ones. I like those sort of like more natural looking, more tasteful, I think. I like those ones better. But I'm just starting to draw sort of the ridges in the pot here. And it's kind of random, so you don't need to be very perfect with it. You just have to go with the flow and hope it looks about right. Actually, it should look about right regardless, because it's just very random. You don't have to worry too much about, being perfect with stuff like this, because as long as you have the feeling, that's all that really matters, I think. People focus way too hard about being perfect with their drawings or their artworks and being exact to a point where they even use like grids and stuff. I think that's just overkill. It's not necessary. Because art form is inherently art. It's supposed to be more about your feelings anyways. So it makes sense just to go more with like your feelings, because it is a form of self-expression anyways. And I feel like that can really demotivate people to draw because they're so obsessed with being perfect all the time. And it's just like, it's hard to get out of that mindset, but you can find people that make you not feel like you need to be perfect all the time. It just takes some time to find those people, and not everybody has those people immediately, but if you have very good people in your life, consider yourself very lucky, because a lot of people don't have that. It's not given, or it's not a basic need, or it's not something everybody has. So you better at least cherish the ones that you do have. So I think it's important for, even if you're antisocial and you are neat, it is definitely polite to at least check in on your friends or see how they're doing every day. Or not every day, but like once in a while. Just to, catch up. And I think in the long run, with consistency, it's going to pay off for sure. Especially if you have good people around. Or if you if you do things like that regularly, you'll tend to attract better people, I think. So I'm trying to get this like braided look because this money tree is braided. And I'm not exactly sure how the braid works, but I'm going to try my best to get the feeling of the braid correct. It looks about right, and that's the important part. So I can just get these little ribbon here. So I think what they do in the store is that they just grow 3 separate money trees, and then they just braid them together, and then they tie them at the top with like some ribbon. That like turns it into kind of like one tree. I think it's kind of neat. And this pen makes you able to draw so fast because it's so convenient to use. You don't have to be super precise with your lines like a brush pen. It makes it like so easy to get just shapes down. That's what I like about this a lot. So you can just kind of draw and not really worry too much about making mistakes. You know, I know for me, when it comes to YouTube and doing these drawing videos, I'm definitely a lot more motivated now to make these videos because people actually watch them and people comment on them, and they're very, very nice comments. I'd say most of them are very nice comments, but there's some of them that aren't the greatest comments. Maybe it's just people who don't really understand, or maybe they're not in a great place in their life and they just need some place to take out their feelings on, but whatever it is, it doesn't really matter because there's just so many good comments, and it definitely motivates me to make these because people actually use this to motivate themselves to draw every day, and that's the power of social bonds, I guess. It's the fact that other people are relying on me makes me want to keep going. It's like how I think I've heard is that for like older couples, like elderly couples, as soon as one goes, it's pretty quick for the other to go, because once they're alone, it's just you die so much quicker. It's like something about people, just the will to live when there's other people around you. It's like it's magic. I don't know, maybe it's just built into our system or something, but there's something just about it where surrounding yourself with people who care, or are very positive in a positive influence in your life, it just keeps you going. It's like an insane drug. And I encourage anybody who has positive relationships to make sure you keep them, because they are valuable. Not everybody has those. I think people should work towards respecting the people around them, or at least putting in an effort to help the other people around them instead of demonizing each other it's just not helpful. I'm just getting the shapes of some of these leaves down. The way these leaves are shaped are pretty interesting too. It's like I don't need to be too perfect with these. They're just leaves. I don't need to care too much about it. Just I draw shapes and the shapes look cool. So I get the feeling down. Seems about right. That's the important part. I think although the leaves or the bush, I don't know, the top, the canopy, that's the word I was looking for. The canopy is a bit big for the page, so it's not going to fit fully on the page, but that's fine. There we go. I find that for me, like, it's very difficult to get people to reach out to me, or it's even if I have friends, it's hard to keep them because they don't want to visit or they don't have time. It can be very demotivating for sure, because it feels like no matter what you do, no matter what rewards you get, like money, for example, right? It doesn't matter how much money you have in the world. If you have no friends to enjoy it with, it's not fun, you know? It's like you can have all the money in the world, but if nobody likes you, nobody likes you. And like for some people, that really stings when people don't like you. I know for me, especially, is that when people don't like me for whatever reason, it really stings. I get a really negative feeling from it. Even if it's just for some like really, like small reason, like that has nothing to do with me. It's like, it just bothers me. It could just be because of the way I grew up, or other reasons, but it is something that has always really bothered me. But I have to realize sometimes that there is some people out there that no matter what you do, you can be perfect in every way, they'll still find a way to dislike you. And it's usually because they have something they're self-conscious about themselves, and they might just be projecting, or it's just for whatever reason you look like some person that they knew before that did something bad to them, and it has nothing to do with you. But to that, I think it's not good to overreact to it. It's just best to move on, because reacting harshly to it puts you in the wrong too, and that's also not good. It's not helpful to anybody to just overreact. And as far as like social, I guess, social dynamics and negative motivators, there's this anime called Mob Psycho. I really like it. It's very popular because it's very relatable. And there's this one character that I like a lot. He's kind of like a delinquent, is this character, and his name is Onigawara. And I think for his story arc, what you find out is that because he's delinquent and nobody likes him, people end up framing him for certain things, and people believe it. And it turns out people didn't necessarily believe that he actually did the thing that he was framed for, but it's more like they're just trying to find an excuse to get him out, because they just didn't like him for whatever reason. And I know some people might think it's like, oh, well, that's their fault for, like, they shouldn't dislike him because he didn't do anything wrong. But I also think it's important to realize that you need to also respect the other people around you. Because in turn, they'll do nice things for you. Because sometimes it's like, you could do technically nothing wrong on paper, but if people just don't like your vibe or whatever, they could just find any reason to frame you or hurt you, or and it's also a vicious cycle. It's like the more you believe it's going to happen, the more it will happen because you feel like everybody's out to get you. So you're going to be all defensive, and it's going to be difficult to cope with situations like that maturely. It can be hard. It's not easy. Social situations aren't easy, especially for me, who, like, come on, I'm diagnosed with autism, so it's like obviously really hard for me. But I'm really good with just picking up on like triggers or cues. So over time, I did learn how these situations work. And actually, another thing is that I realized is that art is a really good way to learn new things about life. And it's a less factual way of like learning about life. But the thing is, life isn't inherently factual. There's no right way, wrong ways to do stuff. And I think art has a better time capturing that than using, say, like some like quick facts or, statistics or whatever that people like to use. And I think art is very heavily undervalued for that reason. Because people nowadays just are so obsessed with like facts and opinions and stuff like that that they forget that like people just want to watch something nice or feel something nice in a more, I guess, how should I say it, like a pleasant way. It does, for me, I don't want to feel like I'm getting into an argument every time I'm about to like learn some life lesson or whatever, right? It would be a lot more pleasant if I were to learn it through, some sort of medium, like, or an interesting movie. It's like you don't have to argue, you don't have to fight. It's not necessary. It's just art. That's I think that's a better thing to do. It's like if you get better at learning to express yourself, then it's a lot easier to communicate to people your opinions without stepping on their toes. There we go. I think this picture is almost done. It's coming out pretty alright. I'm definitely getting better at this, just drawing so consistently now. Thank you guys for motivating me, because I would have normally not been able to be this consistent. This is pretty much done. I'm just going to draw some of the shadows in here. Give it some life and depth. And if you happen to draw along a lot with my artworks and you like to use these videos to motivate yourself to draw, try, I would like to see some of you guys' artwork. So if you could at me on Twitter or X at I think it's Alisa's Art Diary. If you can at me with your draw-alongs, I am genuinely curious of what you guys come up with. I know some of you in my community are genuinely like really talented, and even some professionals in my Discord I've seen. I am curious to see what you come up with. So today we drew this money tree, and it's in my face here. But we drew this money tree, which can be a representation of something people get motivated by, which is money, or more importantly, resources. And here's the artwork here. I think it turned out pretty nice. I liked the way it turned out. Maybe I was a bit messy with the lines up here, but I think that adds sort of a charm to it. So I kind of like how messy the lines are. I like the way the lines turned out. Maybe the perspective on the vase isn't completely perfect, but I think I still got the impression of the vase pretty well. Overall, it is a pretty good drawing, and remember, if you do draw along with these, please at me on Twitter with your draw along. I would like to see them. Well, anyways, thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.